Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, everybody. It is Saturday, August 15th, and you know what that means. It is time for the High Risk Wrestling Podcast. I am your host, betting on myself, Jeremy Pierce. Welcome. And all you know, you can check out the socials, Charismatic Creations on Facebook and YouTube, Charismatic_Creation52 on Instagram, and of course, the 215 on Twitter. And before we get into today's show, please go and check out Coat Pop Go, newest second episode 2 weeks ago, me and Johnny Destructo of Johnny Destructo's Hero Complex giving a review of Spider-Man Brand New Day. Go and check it out. But as for today, as for right now, ladies and gentlemen, we are on the Ballad of Mike Santana. The artist now known as Cruz Montana is in NXT. We're going to look at everything, look at his career up until that point. But for now, you know what's next, so just go on and hit my music. Staying on topic, right? Mike Santana, now in NXT, was a big part of TNA these last couple of years, and this is essentially who is next in TNA. We start off with the current international champion at number 5, Jason Hodge, part of a tag team for the large majority of his career in TNA. Jason Hodge is now getting the ball, and we're seeing what he can do with it. They already giving a little bit of a backstory. He's feuding with his former, leader and Mustafa Ali, so we see how Jason Hodge does rolling solo. They gave him the belt, so they obviously see something in him. Number 4, Mila Moore. Now, Mila Moore, for a long time, in my opinion, TNA was kind of flying under the radar. And she's trained well, but now she is stepping out on her own. And by doing that, they have paired her with the Order 4 faction led by Mustafa Ali. We're going to see what this does for her. Again, she was flying under the radar for the longest of times, but now she is part of this group. Might even have something in store with Tasha Steele, who is also a part of the faction. You just don't debut somebody and have them just kind of show up and be a bigger presence, and that's what they're doing with Mila Moore, since they see something in her. Number 3, Mustafa Ali. Now, he really shouldn't be here, but here's the thing. Ali at some point will become TNA World Champion, right? He has honestly been one of the most consistent things in TNA, and it's time for him to be given the ball. Let me think. I don't believe he is a former TNA World Champion, only holding the X Division Championship and the International Championship, but he is someone that you know is going to win the World Championship. He is just too good to be denied. Number 2, Indy Hartwell. I don't need to really go on about Indy Hartwell. He was a big part of NXT, and now here she is in TNA. Shockingly, ladies and gentlemen, she was eliminated from the Television Championship Tournament, so they're giving the ball to someone new, but I think that means they're going to put Indy at the top of the card, because I just don't think that this feud with Isaiah Brookside and Lana Black is going to go into a title change. Indy Hartwell is someone you're going to build the division around, and I am all here for that. And then number 1, I kind of just disparaged her, but Elena Black, the artist formerly known as, I don't remember her, Cora Jade in NXT, is now got a foothold in TNA. And it sucks because I thought that her and Maura Sade would kind of be like the Willow Chris, Mercedes, Sasha Banks and Bayley of TNA. We haven't had a true blue like women's heated rivalry in TNA in a long time, and I thought Elena Black and Marsha Day would become that, but Marsha Day is no longer in TNA, and Elena Black is still here. Shockingly, she was also eliminated from the TV title tournament, but I think they're going to keep her, and I think they're going to do something big with her. Now, I don't think she's going to become champion just yet, as I think Isaiah Brookside is really cementing herself as at the top of the card. But Elena Black is next up, and I truly see big things for her. We'll be right back. The spotlight is very much on the NXT men's division, and you're asking yourself, well, why is it on the NXT men's division? It is very, very simple, ladies and gentlemen. They have been getting outshone by the women's division for quite a while, and now they're refreshing the top of the card. Right now we have Grayson Waller, we have Naraku, we have a debuting Zilla Fatu, we have the champion Tony D'Angelo. Now that's not Oba and Trick and Mello and Braun and Gunther and Ilya, but it's a start, right? The NXT men's division is a work in progress. I don't even remember who the current North American champion is. That tells you something, because I can name all the champions for the women's side of things. I can tell you all the feuds that's going on with the women, whereas the men are just kind of running in circles and let's see what happens. NXT, if you look at the main roster of the WWE, the majority of the roster today has come through or started in NXT. NXT gives us the future stars, and right now it's looking a little slim because, again, I don't think Naraku will be there long. I don't think Cruz Montana will be there long, and you've got maybe a special guy like Mason Rook, but his look is not helping him. And then you have Birthright. So there's a lot going on with the men's division. We got to see what's next for them. We got to see them climb. We got to see them grow. The spotlight is on them because the spotlight has always been on the women, and for good reason. So let's see what the men do this time around. We'll be right back. Mike Santana, well, now Cruz Montana, he is right now at the top of the card of NXT in the men's division, and he is what happens when you bet on yourself. And today, well, we are telling the story of one Mike Santana. So, where do we start? Well, say a little about Mike Santana. 6 foot, 230, New York City, born and raised from the Bronx, right? Made his debut in 2007. And then, wrestled for a while on the indies. And that was all well and good, but he really got his start after his debut, primarily wrestling in New York City, right? In 2012, he was known as Mike Dratstick, and he formed a tag team with Angel Ortiz, who you know as Ortiz in AEW. And they worked on the independent scene for several years. They won the AAW Tag Team Championship, CZW World Tag Team Championship, and House of Glory Tag Team Championship. But let's take a look at EYFBO. Nicknamed usually as the Proud and Powerful, they were known as the tag team EYFBO. It was an acronym for Entertain Your Fucking Balls Off, or Entertain Your Freaking Balls Off. You gotta keep it PG. And worked for several American independent promotions, like I said, AAW, CZW, and House of Glory. In 2017, right, they were hired by Impact Wrestling, all right, and you kind of figured where this would start, right? So they were in Impact Wrestling, now known as TNA, and they were part of LAX with Homicide, Diamante, and managed by Conan. Look at that. So you're with Homicide, the legend, the OG of LAX, right? Diamante, who was coming up in her own right, and of course Conan, one of the OGs of LAX. They attacked Decay, the stable, Laredo Kid, Garza Jr., and Reno Scum, and immediately putting themselves in the Impact World Tag Team Championship picture and winning them the following week. They were bad guys. So they defeated Decay, they defeated Laredo Kid, Garza Jr. Now they're the champions, and then they defeated the veterans of War, who was Mayweather, Anthony Gregory Mayweather. Who's that? Magnus? Is that Magnus? Crimson, and Will Cox, Jax Dane in the tournament finals to win the GFW Tag Team Championship. This also happened on Impact. Then at Bound for Glory, they lost the titles to OVE as part of a double turn with Sami Callihan interfering on OVE's behalf. Jake Chris performing a low blow on Ortiz and OVE attacking them after the match, thus turning LX into faces in the process. A nice little double turn. You always love a good double turn. Then King became the newest member of LAX. King, ladies and gentlemen, is none other than the GOAT, Eddie Kingston. After Conan attacked him, Homicide and Diamante went missing, and King assumed leadership of the faction, guiding Ortiz and Santana back to the tag team titles. In June, Conan and Diamante returned, showing suspicion about King's involvement. And on the July 5th episode of Impact in 2018, Conan confronted King, who admitted that it was he who had taken out a hit against Conan to take over the faction. King then attempted to get Ortiz and Santana to recognize him as the new head of the group, but they rejected him and stood beside the original leader, Conan. Then OG LAX members Homicide and Hernandez returned, attacking Conan. So now we got a civil war of LAX, which I love. The only thing that was missing was Shelly Martinez. So at Bound for Glory, Hernandez and Homicide lost to Ortiz and Santana in a concrete jungle match. I'm guessing that was like a street fight or something, right? Was it a street fight? I'm assuming it was a street fight. Then the Lucha Bros, Penta and Rey, defeated LAX for the Tag Team Championship as the Mexico. They would later get them back at Rebellion, and then they held the titles until July when they lost it to the North, Ethan Page and Josh Alexander. Then July 18th of 2019, it was revealed that they will be leaving Impact, and they had interest from both WWE and AEW. And during the August 9th taping, Santana and Ortiz were given a send-off by the Impact locker room. Santana confirmed that they were done, that he and Ortiz were done appearing for Impact Wrestling. So in the 2 short years that they were there, they were a big part of the tag team division, having really good feuds with the other LAX, with the North, with the Lucha Bros. That civil war is really good. Then, ladies and gentlemen, they are now All Elite. They made their debut August 31st, 2019, attacking the Lucha Bros, who are also no longer with TNA, and Nick Jackson. After the ladder matches, stabbed themselves a hill. So then they ended up joining Chris Jericho and being a part of the Inner Circle. And this was a good way to establish them on TV, because if you haven't seen them in TNA, well, you all know who Chris Jericho is. It's Chris Jericho. On that episode, Conan reunited with them during Inner Circle party, and in March 2021, the Inner Circle began feuding with the Pinnacle, thus turning Santana and Ortiz faces in the process. It was really weird, right? The Proud and Powerful were great, and the thing is, they never won the tag team titles. Anyway, so after being with the Inner Circle, they ended up meeting with Sammy Guevara throwing his West and walking out. It was later announced that Jericho and Hager would face Santana and Ortiz in a tag team match, with it being billed as an Inner Circle Implodes match. And on that episode, the Inner Circle was disbanded after Jericho and Hager attacked Santana and formed a new alliance with 2.0 and Danny Garcia, thus giving us the JAS, the Jericho Appreciation Society. The Power and Powerful were one of the OG tag teams of I keep saying NXT and TNA of AEW. They were great, and like I said before, it sucked that they never won the tag team titles. So they ended up teaming up with Eddie Kingston, their former boy, and the Blackpool Combat Club to take on the JAS in a blood and guts match. And this was truly blood and guts. If you don't know, blood and guts it's War Games, it's what AEW calls the War Games match. And they were great, and it honestly did nothing for them. Yeah, they got the W, but it was like, well, what's next? And that in the early years of AEW, someone who loves AEW, right? The early years of the tag team division was fun, but there were teams that you wanted to win the titles that never did. Proud and Powerful never won tag titles. The Dark Order never won the tag titles. The Best Friends never won the tag titles. Those are probably the big three of what ifs. During the Blood and Guts match, Santana tore his ACL and was out indefinitely. We've seen ACL injuries before. We see them a lot. Professional wrestling, they do not end careers. Usually come back bigger, better, and stronger than before. Now, here's the thing. During Santana's absence, it was reported that he and Ortiz were having problems working together, right? So what was the issue? It was a lot of things. Santana was having some personal issues. He had the death, I believe, of his father. He was recovering. He was a recovering alcoholic, and he was, taking care of himself. But the bigger thing is, he wanted more for not only himself but Ortiz. And this is not a knock on Ortiz. Ortiz was happy, just being there, right? And Santana wanted to truly bet on himself. So after they returned, following Santana's recovery, Santana changed his ring name to Mike Santana, and they competed against the BCC, losing. They competed alongside the BCC, losing Eddie Kingston, Pensa, and the Best Friends in a Stadium Stampede match at All In. And then after the event, the team disbanded, which led to a final one-on-one match between the two, where Santana defeated Ortiz, and they, bumped knuckles out of respect, and they disbanded. After the match, Santana requested and was granted his release from AEW, and this was in March of 2024, ending his 5-year tenure with AEW. And here's the thing. He wanted to bet on himself. He wanted better for himself. He wanted more for himself. And that's good, right? That is serviceable, and that's what you got to do. You can see throughout history there are times where people have bet on themselves, and this is what he did. So what does that lead to? Just a month later, he made his return to TNA at Rebellion. He made his return to TNA. And then at Rebellion, he defeated Steve Macklin. So it was announced that he had signed with the promotion, and he began feuding with the System. Moose, Eddie Edwards, Brian Myers. I feel like I'm missing. There's 4 people. Alicia Edwards. Who else was in the? It couldn't have just been them 3. It was Moose, Eddie Edwards, Brian Myers, Alicia Edwards. And so first of all, totally forgot Masha Slamovich was part of it. Yeah, that's OGs. Booze, Brian Myers, there was Alicia Edwards. I do not remember Masha Slamovich being in the group. This is such a tangent. I do not remember her being in the group at all. Oh, you know, it was when she was it was when she was teaming with Alicia Edwards, and they were the Militia. That's why. That's why Masha was in the group. But I'm sorry, that was such a tangent. I digress. They cost Santana, the System, a chance to qualify for the TNA World Championship match at Slammiversary. So at Slammiversary, he defeated Jake something, who you now know as Jake Doyle in TNA. The wrestling world is such a connected place. Following Slammiversary, Santana focused fully on the System, getting his revenge for the attacks he was not going to stop. He ended up losing the Moose on an episode of Impact, and then at Emergence, he teamed with the Hardys and Joe Hendry to take on the System in an 8-man tag match, and again, in a losing effort, but he was building something. And then he went on to go and defeat JDC in a Texas Death Match on Impact. And following that match, Moose attacked him. This led to their rematch for the two at Bound for Glory, which Santana defeated Moose to end the feud. Remember, Moose was the leader of the System at that point. Then at Turning Point, when he defeated Cass, and then at Final Resolution, he competed in a 4-way match to determine the #1 contender for the TNA World Championship. This also featured Joe Hendry, Steve Macklin, and Josh Alexander, and Hendry won the match. Mind you, all 4 of those men in this match are no longer in TNA. Santana is in NXT. Joe Hendry is on the main roster of Raw. Steve Macklin is just a free agent, but I think he's going to Ring of Honor. And Josh Alexander is currently out with an injury, but he's also signed to AEW. So, following that match, he began a feud with Josh Alexander, taking Alexander's headgear. After defeating the Northern Army in a gauntlet match and later getting attacked by the group, he defeated Alexander in an I Quit match at Genesis to end the feud. Following the match, the two shook hands, and this was also Alexander's last match in TNA. So after Genesis, Santana entered the feud with Ali, and in the build-up, Ali, being the scumbag that he is, was taunting Santana about his past of being a drug addict, being an alcoholic. He crashed one of his counseling sessions. Ali knows how to get under the skin. At Sacrifice, Santana lost to Ali. And due to Ali cheating at Sacrifice, Santana made a rematch on the following episode of Impact, where Santana then defeated Ali by countout. So they had to have the rubber match, which happened at Rebellion in a Falls Count Anywhere match, which Santana won. Then at Slammiversary, he failed to win the TNA Championship from Trick Williams in a 3-way match, also involving Joe Hendry. So this was the part of the NXT crossover, and we were very obviously building up Santana. Joe Hendry had already won the championship. He was clearly on his way out, and we were like, okay, it's time for Santana. It's Santana's turn. So, at Bound for Glory, he defeated Trick to win the TNA World Championship, his first World Championship in a major promotion. And then only a short month later, he lost the title to Cass after getting into a brawl with NXT talent, and Cass was the winner of the Call Your Shot. Cass called his shot. So, it was weird because there were a couple times where we had, I want to say it was Slammiversary or pay-per-view before that was in New York City. It was like, why would you not put the title on Santana? TNA had a thing of just waiting too long to pull the trigger. So on their debut episode on AMC, Santana defeated Cass to win the title for the second time. 2 days later, he defeated Cass to retain in the Texas Death Match. At No Surrender, he and Leon Slater defeated Nick Nemeth and Eddie Edwards. And Santana's got the ball, and he is running with it. He is the face of TNA. He defeated the title against Steve Macklin. The bout was ruled no contest after Macklin was legitimately knocked out, taking the super kick from Santana. While Medical was checking on Macklin, Eddie Edwards, who had a guaranteed world title shot because of his Feast or Fire match, considered attack Santana, but Santana was able to fend him off in that Rebellion. Santana successfully defended the title against Eddie Edwards. On April 23rd episode of Impact, he defeated Rich Swann to retain the title, but he then would go on to lose it to Nick Nemeth, ending his second reign at 164 days. After this event, it was reported that he would be departing TNA as his contract was expiring on July 15th. So, in that 1 year span, he became the face of TNA. And while this was going on, he was also helping TNA out again in their feud against NXT, notably feuding with Trick Williams for the TNA Championship, going back and forth with that. He also won the Survivor Series elimination match on the episode of Showdown, last eliminating Ricky Saints to win for Team TNA. So after he leaves TNA, what's next for Mike Santana? Well, he made his debut on NXT. He confronted Tony D'Angelo, and a week later, he changed his name to Cruz Montana, because we already knew he was Mike Santana and WWE whatever. He then faced Grayson Waller, who was calling people out doing this thing. This was for a shot at the NXT Championship at Heatwave. That ended in no contest after Zillify 2 made his debut. So this goes back to the spotlight being on the NXT men's division. Now Cruz Montana, Zillify 2, Tony D'Angelo, Grayson Waller, Naraku. We are all getting into it, and now Santana found himself at the top of the card in NXT, and that's good. Mike Santana, or whatever you want to call him, is the truest of true stories of you bet on yourself, you believe, you have faith, and you just go out there and you work hard, right? Imagine what would happen if he had never tore his ACL, if he and Ortiz actually won the tag team titles in AEW. What could have been? But here he is, a former 2-time world champion, fighting for another world championship in another, let's call it NXT, a promotion. That's all well and good, and you can't fault the man for that. It's not over for his career, right? The truest question is, where will he land once being moved up to the main roster? Can you see him being a world champion? Can you see him being world heavyweight champion? Can you see him being WWE champion? Or is his ultimate ceiling, upper mid card, U.S. title, Aussie title, occasionally wrestling for the world title? I don't put ceilings on people. I want everybody to go to the top. I want everybody to be at the top, right? But I love what this man has done. I love where his career is going, and I will always love anyone that bets on themselves. Santana is that story. Cruz Montana is that story. But that is our show, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Look on the screen what we got coming up. It is almost time for All In. I am so freaking excited. Check out the socials, Charismatic Creations on Facebook and YouTube, Charismatic_Creations52 on Instagram, and of course the 215 on Twitter. And as always, Anna J, Willa Nightingale, Chris Statlander, Hazuki, Isla Dawn, Priscilla Kelly, and Bailey. Holla at your boy. Peace.